Alright, track day NISMO R33, stage 3, here we go. And this one, from the backdrop, we can tell it's going to be involving Red Bull Ring. But since we're kind of bouncing back and forth in this storyline between what I guess Michael and the gang remembers versus what is currently happening with the car in Dubai, right? So, okay, now we are involving Eric in the story. So hopefully that means the repair issue is taken care of, right? Well, we know that's one thing is taken care of, right? And only to introduce another issue, since I already know the storyline. So, all right, you've got the best engineer in the world to work on such a prestige item. Good to know you can have some fun with this. Pop open the boot for a check and ga. And yes, that's the one that Michael brings along, is Chip. So, right. That's exactly what happened. Michael would be great getting back into racing. Don't you mean I'm a great manager? Absolutely, Mikey. That's what I was just saying. No, that's not what he was saying, but okay. This storyline is just all over the place, and same with the goals that we have to put up with in this event. Did you want to get out of the boot before you start speaking? What? None of this makes any sense. Michael is a fantastic manager who is good at what he does, and I was there to advocate. How do we get from you and Michael talking with the client to you being knocked out in the booth for hours? Slowly, none of this makes any sense. So, all right, all I know is there is going to be a challenge in this stage that does require some bot training. So I don't think the first one is that. So first one, we're starting with Elimination. And this one's taking place at Red Bull Ring. So we just have to draft and see if we can win as well. I think it... Did it ask for will win? Because I think it says some goofy word like avoid getting eliminated. So yeah, that means you have to win. Alright, so we got the draft counter. So we'll keep our eyes on the drafting number. So this is not tailgating like the one we had in the previous stage. So I'll try to draft off of more of the leader pack. Tortellini, sure. And boy, we're not getting much of a draft back here, huh? Alright, maybe we need to get behind. Still no drafting? I'll try to get behind the leader and maybe we can build up there. But you can kind of tell these opponents are definitely moving quicker. There we go. All right. And then we'll get in the lead. And hopefully manage to stay ahead. Let's see. Yeah, the opponents are catching up down the straight, so they are faster. And I guess they only ask you to not damage the car. They don't care if you go a little bit off track. So yeah, if necessary, I guess you can cut some corners. And just 8 more seconds to go here. 3, 2, 1, and then don't get hit after the last guy gets eliminated, because on occasion those cars that's getting eliminated sometimes will speed up as they're turning into ghosts, essentially, and they'll speed up sometimes and smash into your rear end, especially if that happens when you're like going into a corner. Anyway, so the goal 1 is pretty straightforward, and it's the next one, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we'll get it serviced. Yeah, if I remember correctly, the second goal is one that I may have to do some bot training. So does that sound right? What is he talking about? I don't think you won. I'm sure I did. Yeah. While they figure that out, mind helping me run some tests. So yeah, this is where we have to catch up to Eric. So we're back in Dubai in, I guess, not in the remembering mode. And we also have to get that done before we run out of fuel. And essentially 2 laps to do it, right? So let's see. We'll figure out very quickly how far Eric is ahead. We get 100 units of fuel to start off, and because I haven't really been terribly active with bot training. Alright, let's see how we fare. That's not very helpful. So Eric is P1, and we basically have to catch up to P1. We don't have to complete 2 laps. In fact, if you come down to finishing 2 laps, the chances are you're not completing the challenge, because there's certainly not enough fuel for you to do 2 full laps here. Alright, so P8. Yeah, and this grid is pretty spread out, so we'll see what kind of lap time these guys have. Of course, when you quit, you can always check that. Not perfectly accurate, but you get at least a ballpark idea of what where the bots are. Alright, so P7, 6, 5, and let's see, maybe this one is possibly doable. Find out soon enough. Or maybe it is going to be doable. This one's looking a little bit more promising than my initial run on my other account. Although we're down to 17 units of fuel. I mean, P4 is fine, but I feel like I need to be behind Eric by this point. So yeah, this is not going to happen. So yeah, I need to be in P2 here, not P3. Close, but not enough, because we just don't have Is there enough fuel or the track left to overtake Eric? So yeah, I just ran out of fuel as well there. So 2:56 is the lap time. This is how we have to kind of check. Alright, we'll just service it. That's fine. And then we'll quit right away. And then when we check the lap time, oh, look at that, 3:06. Right? Let's do that a few more times and see how much we can bring down. 3:09. And when you quit before the light turns green, 3:12, there you go. Then it does not take up any service bars either. So something to keep in mind. And I believe this only works if your car's in not in critical condition. All right, so now we're up to 3:15. Let's see how far we can. Eventually, it will bottom out, and Eric won't slow down anymore. But it looks like we're still slowing down. So 3:17. Do we get 3:20? Maybe 3:20. Look at that. I think that's good enough. I think we can go for it. And you'll notice from very early on, the opponents are much more compactly, like, they're not spread out as much. Right. So already first overtake is even quicker. And then you see these guys are closer together. Racing some very wide line, I guess. Right, so I'll catch a little bit of drift. So 9th place we already overtake in the straights. And we already spotted P7 now, and you see 6th and 5th are kind of together. And then you can also spot the one in front of that. So yeah, you can see 4th and 3rd are already spotted. So significantly slower grid. Which is kind of a necessity here if you have not been very diligently bot training. So P3, we just need 2 more to overtake. Yeah, see how quickly we have caught up to the top 2. Can even afford a little mistake that I made. And we see Eric. There he is. So yeah, significantly slower. And if you're running with just the PR requirement that is necessary to win this event in total, and we just simply don't have enough. You know, so we do have to kind of slow down the grid. But there we have it. A little bit of bot training needed to get through this one. And I'm trying to remember if there were any other challenges that required bot training. Anyway, we're through that one. I mean, in the next stage, we're going to have some of those broken steering challenge, which is super annoying. Anyway, fuel conservation is not where I'd like it to be. Going to need a bit longer. All right, and we're going back to Red Bull Ring Spielberg for the story time. Michael and Chip's story time. I'm practically flaking. Fantastic to hear, Chip. None of this makes any sense. It's total nonsense. So it was Chip, me, and the client just out on the track. So 3-car grid. What's the goal? Fastest lap. No off track allowed, but that's a-okay. And we're starting in the back of the grid. But, you know, fastest lap kind of challenges are pretty straightforward. So no curveball here. Obviously, since we started at the end, if we take over the lead, we are setting the fastest lap time. And of course, if you didn't want to bother with these other opponents, probably there are only 2 others, right? So it's not a big traffic isn't an issue. But if you still don't want to bother with it, then you can actually kind of let the others go earlier before you start your timed lap, since we had an out lap just a little bit. But I don't think it's gonna be, I don't think it'll be necessary. Besides, you get a little bit of drafting as well here. But really, once you're in the lead, none of that matters. All right. And when we're crossing the finish line, we have about 150-meter lead. So as long as when we're crossing the second lap, finishing the lap, we have about the same lead. We don't have to worry about the others setting faster lap time than the first one. So yeah, we're building on the lead we've gained from the lap 1. And obviously, because we trained the bots in order to get through the last challenge, that effect is still kind of lingering on. And just make sure to stay on track, since that's one stipulation. There we go. So that is good enough for yet another goal here. Crossing that sort of the half line point almost in this event. Yeah, minute 26 and change. And let's see, I think the goal for we're back to Dubai, if I remember correctly. And then there was that whole, so yeah, incomplete sentences. Eric's got more tests to run. So we're, yeah, back in Dubai. And, oh yeah, endurance without overheating. Yeah, shouldn't be too bad. PR 31.3 is what's required. And 9 kilometers. All right. I think a little bit of clock management, time management, I will probably try to do. So, of course, the endurance, the 90 seconds, the maximum cap, right? So any overtake that you make when your clock is essentially close to 90 seconds, you're essentially losing the bonus that you get, right? So, and since 9 kilometers shouldn't be too difficult to reach, even with the overheating issue. This early part of the race, try to kind of stay back. Could we cool down the engine a bit too? Maybe. Yeah, the rate it's coming down isn't really that slow. And let's see, how long is a lap here? Maybe about 5 kilometers. So it's gonna be, I'm anticipating a little under 2 full laps, the Grand Prix circuit, right? And the lap bonus time, I want to say, is somewhere between 25 and 30 seconds for, maybe closer to 25 seconds for Dubai Grand Prix. So with the heat management, generally involves some coasting. And yeah, I don't really see the temperature coming down when I'm coasting, but it's certainly not going up, which is better than obviously getting hot. So 4 kilometers. So yeah, I guess first lap is going to be 5 kilometers and change. And then coast. Oh, come on. Don't go off track. We're getting pretty hot, aren't we? So let's see what the lap bonus is. Yeah, that's about 26 seconds, I think. And then not a whole lot of opponents overtake all of a sudden. But I think we have enough time left on the clock that we may not need any more overtakes to reach the 9 kilometer mark. In fact, I'm gonna try to see if I can do that without making any more overtakes, since I don't want to have to be out on the track any longer than absolutely necessary. I think I may have to make one more overtake. This guy moving too slow. Alright. There's 8, and then we only need to get to 9. So yeah, I think it's timed perfectly. We'll just casually reach our destination. There we go. All right. The bare minimum. All right. Good enough to get us through, which is the important part. Main concern, right? All right. So end of another stage, stage 3. What do we get for the effort? 1,250 victory points, 5 gold, and 20,000 racing dollars. All right, and that gets us to the next reward tier. That is kind of useless reward, in my opinion. It's a 10% off Racer's Choice. Yeah, I've just been using that for picking up those old Formula E cars from the previous seasons. Yeah. Anyway, just need a bit more time here. It's doing great, but there's still more things to optimize. Okay, Natalia's been doing a bit of thinking. Fantastic. You know your story makes no sense, right? Yeah, that's what I've been saying. It's a totally absolute nonsense. One specific detail really stood out. Jim McGee, no, your client. He's a pretty good client, like I said. Pretty good client who managed to get their hands on the R33 GTR, the only one of its kind, who was able to arrange its delivery all the way from Japan to Dubai. I mean, do we really not know who this is? It's Ahmed, of course. Why else would we be in Dubai, right? So it's comfortable letting you, and only you, drive the 1995 R33 while everyone else drove Skyline from the 90s. Well, I mean, technically there are no others, right? So they kind of have to. Hey, someone is walking towards us. Oh, is that? Yep. Speak of the devil, what marvelous precision you hold with that vehicle, my friend. Yep, so there you go. He is the client in question. We'll find out in the next stage for sure, but that'll do it for stage 3 playthrough here. So we'll catch you guys up in the next one, stage 4, coming right up. So stay tuned. See you there.